Okay, welcome back. We're here back at our new Jojens. This is the second time you've seen it. We're finally back with our Boonhae Hosinsul Dan-Gun, the late mid section of the pattern, where you're using your down or low block to rising same side, and then we're moving forward on the next two. The last two rising blocks, or I'm looking at more of the three rising blocks. So from here I'm in Chambi, I'm going forward, or we can go off that last punch on this side. I'm going to go from Chambi. So from here I go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have one more going forward, but we're not looking at that one. That's going to be on the next part, so that it leads to a spin. So we're here and then you're turning on your section, going to your knife hand strike. So the pieces that we're focusing on is mainly the down block and the rising block aspect. You're going to see us do it from our right side because first off, most attackers are right-handed. You should do this on both sides anyway, get good at going both sides, because the preparation has a solid aspect to what side you need to switch to defend yourself. This is only as important as you make it. It doesn't matter if you're going like this and then you're using the motion, or you're doing the actual cross and you turn your hands one way or the other. The preparation really only matters if that's how you follow it in your defense. So a lot of the times, as I've said in the past videos, if somebody throws a punch, our natural motion is to put our hands up and deflect or defend in some cowering motion this way. Or some people will put their hands out and go like this, which is bad. You want to avoid that. But if we can make it the same type of motion and kind of compress it so that when that motion happens, we cross this way, then we have the same type of motion that we want. So from here, my hands are crossed this way. Maybe I have a deflection to where I'm pulling out on dosan, this way, and dosan. Crouching, extending this way, and I have something like that. So really it's up to you how you use or value your crossing of your hand for preparation. But today we're going to show you how you can use the downward block to rising block in Dan-Gun. Okay, and then the two rising blocks after that. One of the things that I found very difficult is motions that repeat themselves multiple times, or at least more than 3. Specifically, the punches forward and backward in Chungji were difficult, and then leading up to this down block, rising block, 4 rising blocks forward. The 4, when you get to something like 4 times, you really think about why you're doing it 4 times, other than repetition, practice for both sides, and to get back to your spot, which is a lot of what patterns really are. You try to get back to your spot because they're used for competition and stuff like that. But when we try to put into a self-defense thing, you're taught that, so from here, Megan throws a front side kick, a down block, boom, and then she immediately with the same hand rising blocks this way, and then we're going forward in the defensive position of Dan-Gun. But in reality, the only time, no, forget reality. In technicality, in technical term, I would be going backwards. So she continues to punch 2, 3, move forward because we're up front, and then last one, 4 on this side. Okay? I don't have a reason to move forward on my rising block on this side. If we're using the technical piece of doing rising block, then I'm getting punched in the face high, or something is overhead high. I wouldn't be going forward in the motion multiple times. I can see it one aspect, right? I can see, like, let's say someone has a stick, okay? And I see it, I cover, I go boom like this, and my hand comes up into like this type of motion. And then let's turn this, she goes this way, and it's like a small knife, and my immediate reaction is, oh no, this way, and I come into it like this. And then maybe 2, right? So I get into that, and then I control it, and I come in like this. Okay, now we made the block into a strike. we're kind of moving out of our safe zone and we're thinking outside the box, right? Okay, so what about the other two? What about the other two pieces? Do I continue to move forward onto the rising block? No. So with most patterns, you're going to just see that it's mostly about coming back to your spot or repetition for working out or keeping in shape, which is really what the patterns were for when they were originally designed. They were for repetition, for technique, to make the technique crisp and strong, and for you to focus on it, but also to keep your body in shape, because General Che focused on staying in shape all the time. He comes from the military background. It's as important you keep your mind healthy, you keep your body healthy. It's the main thing. So the patterns were designed to keep your body healthy. Where you do it in repetition, you get good at it, you get good at the technique, you keep moving forward. My tangent's done. So we go from down block to rising block. Again, she's going to be using her right hand to defend, because most people are throwing their right hand and controlling with their left hand. You can do this reverse. I'm going to do two things, and it doesn't really matter which it is. I can grab the collar, I can grab the throat as I'm throwing my punch. Either one is fine when you're working this, because if I have it like this, the motion isn't going to change. Either we'll go through. Okay, so from this way, I'll start with the collar grab. Okay, so I'm working off the collar grab here, and I'm trying to swing on this side. We're going to move for the preparation, coming on this side, hitting your palm, and as you can see, your prep is just like a regular prep. This is how they're practicing. I don't care if your hands are this way, they're already starting this way. If you have a big cross like this and it's high, or like you frame up like this to defend yourself. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you defend in first motion. Okay, like I said, the way you apply your preparation for your application is up to you. You make the pattern work for you. You don't work for your pattern. Okay? So from here, collar grab, first one, swinging and bump. Now you can. I'm going light because I want you to see the motion at first. So I go from here. When I swing, she's going to go for the down block on the forearm because you defended the hand. Obviously the hand doesn't stay here. So you're going to do two motions. You're going to try and pull the hand at the same time down blocking, but on the first motion. Okay? Now you can see that she stood back. Again, we're moving into it this way on our side. So we go from here to here. Okay? But we're looking at this practically. If you want a good solid position, you're going to move slightly away from the movement, not, let's say, the right foot, because we're switching sides. The right foot moves forward on the down block. Go ahead, try it. This, yeah. That's not going to work on the application for two reasons. Move your foot forward, put pressure on my hand, my head. Okay? So if she moves away from me, my head doesn't go into her face necessarily. Okay? But if she moves forward as I'm punching, then go push and step forward. Push, step forward. My head, her head collide, and if she's not prepared, she gets hit. Okay? So real quick, we go to the normal one. You step back into position. And 1, 2, this way. Now, when I am here, you don't have to break this. Okay? This doesn't have to be broken. So all you're doing is moving the body down, which is fine, because the next piece is what's going to create distance. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to grab the collar, same as before, moving backwards, striking, boom, on this side, she goes down. Here, you can control the hand. If you can't control the hand, it's okay. The main goal is that you're pushing the arm down, which helps the body collapse. Okay, the second movement is forearm to the head and driving me back. Now, I can either, just go down. I can either go backwards, push, or I just end up stepping back, right? Like this. Most likely, the way that the forearm is, if I'm still attached, go ahead, push. And I'm going to step back this way. Okay? Now, if you still have control of the hand, you're going to grab the shoulder. You're going to use the pulling hand to the hip. At the same time, pulling my arm upward. Okay, go. There's your third rising block. Okay, come back, or second rising block. Okay, so you have one, third block, second rising block. 1, 2, 3, manipulating the hand. Okay, now the last one is where you want to disengage. Okay, you see we're going to get off the line here. It's not going to be a straightforward motion because you're doing self-defense. Remember, as I say in every single video, I say you have to have a reason to do your pattern, and if you find applications within your pattern, even if you vary, you kind of move off the line, you're not exactly the way it is, you have to visualize the techniques within the pattern. You don't want to take something and then just apply it to make it look perfect. Okay? Otherwise, this down block, right? This isn't necessarily right. See this? This wouldn't be right. Okay? So, forget that. Your arm does not need to be this way, in any shape or form. I said something yesterday. I asked Megan, at what part of the block is it a block? And the answer was the whole thing. Okay? So this is your block, this is your block, this is your block, this is your block, this is your block. Everything throughout the motion is the block. Okay? So whenever you decide to find an application through it, you don't necessarily have to be at this point, at this point, at this point. It is at any point within the motion that you find useful. Okay? So from here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? 5. Here. Okay, now so from here we're disengaging. This is the rising block. This is the pulling hand. Okay? So this is the pulling hand. I did just still have the collar, but I don't need it now. Again, from this position, your collar, if it's on the collar, it doesn't matter. Remember, shirts, tear, rip, it's whatever. Okay? So from here, now you're stepping forward again, pushing off the neck and going for your next rising block. Okay, go ahead. 1 second. Okay? This doesn't have to be like a rising block. Okay? It doesn't need to be a rising block. You can push physically. This shape is good enough for a rising block for me. Okay? See, as I move around, this shape is good enough for me. If I'm finding some way to make an angle and deflect off my head, I'm not saying technically, I'm not saying that I would use this technically, right? I'm not going to really use that. But if I'm moving against something this way, the shape of the motion, as I said before, this is a rising block, 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 okay? So all of this stuff is the rising block. All of this, not this, okay? The more you can open yourself to that, the better off you're going to be when you have to move off of technically, because if you stay technically too long, you're going to become a robot or a dummy and just kind of like action figures where they pose themselves this way. That's all you really are, is because you become so structured in the technique and it looks really crisp, really clean, and someone grabs you or tries to punch you and you go to do it and it slips through the block, or you can't break the grip or something like that. That's because you've practiced too long being an action figure and not actually feeling your opponent, learning how to work with your opponent or even your partner, for that matter. Okay? Alright, come back. Alright, I'm not going to change sides this time. So we're going to move through it fast a couple times just to show it. Okay? I'm going to move off the collar now because it started with a choke. When we worked on it to begin with, it started as a choke to the throat. So the person's going like this and then they're going this way. And then we moved off to a collar just because a collar is easier when it's there. If I have a collar here, I can move you around much easier than I can by grabbing you in the throat. You can slip off. But if somebody grabs you in the throat and holds you this way, the step back is also going to be useful because this disengages a little bit. It doesn't take it off, but as you step back, you're moving them towards where you want. This already and then moving forward after. Okay? Alright, so we're moving off of the collar grab. So I'm here, I go 1, 2, 3, long, and then disengage. Good. Okay? So this motion, the first two motions, I want you to practice slow at first. So I'm going to take this out for a second. So when it goes 1, 2, so when it goes 1, 2, here, here. If I connect to this person, I'm going to have a whiplash motion of 1, 2. Sometimes what will happen is people will ask, as I go from here, let's say she down block, and she's not able to grab my hand. So I go for this again. Now you can block, or you can throw the forearm forward, like this. Okay? So the cramming of the forearm, it should be a defense and a counterattack at the same time. So while this is in play, this is a defense. If I go back to pull again, so let's say, this, she's going slow, but this and this should be at the same time. So once I block this, I either am able to grab or I'm not, but I should immediately go, I'll do the left side. So I should immediately go from 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm grabbing, or if I can't grab, 1, 2, and then 3 right away. So that I'm pushing this person forward. And then we only go off of the 2. So if the defense if I can only do 2, so 1, 2, I escape here. Immediately on the disengage, should it go forward? Why? Okay? Why? Because I'm going to punch again, and you don't have an arm to control. Okay? So let's say, same, 1, 2, and then 3, and then follow up with attacks right away, or you disengage. So once you push away, then you can come back to this again, your fighting guard, or your hands come up and you're ready to defend yourself. Okay, all right, let's do a few with actual grabbing, and then move through the whole thing. Again, it's fun. Okay, ready? The main goal is to use this correctly. So let's say we're on this, okay, so I have my left side, now I get to use my left side. So when the person strikes me, 1, this is my main go-to. 1, and then 2, right away. So again, over here, 1, and then 2. If it breaks, it breaks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is my go-to. The extension forward and the pull. So for real, let's say I don't grab this. Okay? 1, 2, 3. As I go forward. And then I have my lines. This way. Okay? If I'm on this side of the attack, I'm just going off of the defense. So now I'm talking to you like if I was talking to one of my students. Okay? So if I'm on this line this way, I'm punching this way, she tries to punch me this way, my overhand, my hand is here to defend. If it punches this way, my hand is here to defend, or I can just cover my chin this way. Okay? So, just your rising block, just 1, 2. So from here, if I go like this, it's mostly just the 1 and then the 2 that you're looking at. The other stuff is just additive, the forward motion. Okay? So next time, we'll see you. It should be the last rising block and then finishing up the pattern. Okay? And then we'll be moving on to Dosan at some point, whether it's 2024 or whatever it is. Okay? I'll see you then.